All right, Nick, let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a team that has a lot of history, a lot of great players. And when you think of the Steelers, you think old school football, you think, hard nosed defense, you think just grit, like very determined, like I said, old school football. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers of this year, this coming season, might be a little bit different because they're focusing a little bit more on the new school side of things as far as when it comes to analytics in the NFL. Let's get into the article and we can talk about what it means on the other side. This is from All Steelers. And it says the Pittsburgh Steelers have hired a new member to their staff. According to the team's website, Donovan Moore Jr. is now listed as the team's football analyst, joining Tosin Kazim as the second member hired in that position. The Steelers typically have always had a small analytics staff, and once last year, when former employee Will Britt left for the Dallas Cowboys, that staff dropped to just one. Moore now fills the position, as well as Cousin, and he came from the San Antonio Spurs, where he was a data analyst. Prior to San Antonio, he was a football analytics intern with the 33rd team and held an apprenticeship with the NBA as a future analytics star. The Steelers acknowledged there would be changes to their staff, and so far they've seen a few. Longtime strength and conditioning coach Marcel Pastor recently left the team. The quarterbacks coach Mike Sullivan is not expected to return in 2024. More changes are expected to come throughout the offseason as Pittsburgh looks to take a step forward and avoid struggles they've seen on both sides of the ball in recent years. And Nick, when I think of struggles on one side of the ball in particular for Pittsburgh, I think of the offense. There's probably a lot of factors to that. Who's going to be the quarterback? Who's the offensive coordinator? They've eliminated Matt Canada. I think that's going to help that out a lot. But there's a couple of analytical approaches that this team could take to help them be a little bit more efficient, maybe a little bit more risky on the offensive side of the ball. And those two things I think are going for it on fourth down, which the Pittsburgh Steelers 27th in the NFL as far as going for it on fourth down, 19 attempts there. Then the other side of things, again, Pittsburgh on 2-point conversions, they're tied for 22nd in the NFL with just 0.2 2-point conversions per game. Not very many there. I think analytics are typically the things that help drive those approaches up. In Pittsburgh getting back to going for it on fourth and going for two a little bit more often, I think will give them a couple more W's in the win column. I think it's a really interesting approach, and I think there's more that we can take from all of this from Pittsburgh. But Nick, before we get your thoughts on all of this, Pittsburgh fans, let us know in the comment section below. They say there's going to be a lot of changes to this Pittsburgh team this offseason. What is one change in particular that you think Pittsburgh should make? Let us know in the comment section below. But Nick, what are your thoughts on this latest hire by Pittsburgh?
Yeah, so let's take a step back here. Instead of focusing on growing the analytics department and argue over analytics, more analytics versus less, should you go for fourth down more? Should you go for two more? Things like that. I'm personally not a big analytics guy, but I can see the merits on both sides. But I think what's going on here, though, I think this is a message from Rooney, from the ownership group, from Khan, from the front office to Tomlin saying, look, changes have to be made and changes will be made. Things will be different in 2024. Rooney and Connor telling Tomlin, we're tired of going, 7 years, 8 years now without winning a playoff game, whatever it is. We're tired of our last 3 playoff appearances getting blown out. That's not how we do things. We didn't bring you into the fold. We didn't hire you after Bill Cowher retired to, make the playoffs and then get killed every other year and not have a playoff win in a better part of a decade. That's not why we're here. That's not what the Steelers are about. And I think sending this message to Tomlin, which will then disseminate from Tomlin to the rest of the team, and like, look, this is different. We're not going to get away with having 2 or 1 guy in the analytics staff. We're going to, modernize a little bit. We're going to have 4 analytics guys. We're going to make other changes, strengthening and conditioning coach. We're going to have a new guy there. We're going to change the way we do things. It's not just going to be Tomlin's way, Tomlin's Pittsburgh Steelers franchise. We have to change because what we've been doing for the last 6, 7 years isn't working, and things need to be changed from the Pittsburgh Steelers, from the coaching side, from the day-to-day operation side, and that'll, of course, trickle onto the field. We talked about the Detroit Lions I think a few days ago about how the fact that they were really aggressive on fourth down during the regular season. And that didn't make sense to me because the Detroit Lions, for the first time in a very long time, had a very talented team. They didn't need to go for it on fourth down very much. They had a great roster, a lot of talented guys, good coaching staff. They could punt and be perfectly fine. The Pittsburgh Steelers are the opposite. They're a team that needs every down they can get, every opportunity they can get to score points. I understand you got a few wins because you played field position and defense, and that's great, phenomenal, great job. But that's not going to win you big games. That's not going to give you a chance to overcome your talent deficiencies. You're no longer the overdog. You're no longer the big time favorite with Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, the Killer Bees, right? That's not who the Steelers are anymore. You need to change the way you think. And I think this is a message from Khan, from Rooney, from the entire leadership to Tomlin and to the players by extension. We have to change the way we think. We have to change the way we operate. And it starts with support staff, but you better believe it's going to have an impact on the field as well. I think that's what this is. I think this is the first of many big moves and first of multiple messages to Tomlin saying things are going to change in 2024. And look, I think it's the right move because things have to change for what's been going on in Pittsburgh. Because what's been happening, I think as Steelers fans, you guys will probably agree with this. It's been unacceptable for too long now.
Yeah, Nick, and we see how long have we heard, ooh, Tomlin gonna keep his 500 streak alive, over 500. That's not good enough anymore. No one cares about that. It's got to be wins in the playoffs. It's got to be postseason runs. The Steelers expected to make it to the playoffs. They got to start winning games in the playoffs. The one Super Bowl from a while ago, starting to lose its luster. It's not good enough anymore. Like you said, things are going to be changing. Analytics staff going to be changing. Coaching, strength and conditioning is changing. Thank God they got the quarterback coach out of there. Going to get someone new in there, help develop Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, or whoever they decide to go for at the quarterback position. I think this change is going to be great for Pittsburgh. And it's like you said, I think this is coming from the top down, and that is what it needs to happen. A message needed to be sent. And I think just overall, all of the changes they have made and will make are going to really change things for the better. And hopefully Steelers fans will have something to cheer for come next postseason.
And let's just say Tomlin doesn't cooperate, right, and fights and pushes back. Then that's a clear message that you can move on from Tomlin and reset after 2024. That's the beauty of moves like this. Either your head coach and your team is going to adapt and change the way they do things, which I think they probably will because it's either adapt or get fired, or they push back, they remain stubborn, and then they can get fired and you can move on. That's why change is needed. That's why I think it's coming from the front office to go to Tomlin, basically say, change what you want or change what we tell you to change. Don't keep doing what you want or you're going to get fired after 2024. I think Tomlin will receive the message. I agree with you. It should have some positive impact for Pittsburgh this coming season. But if it doesn't, at least take solace in the fact that there will be changes afterwards. And no matter what, whether it's in 2024 or beyond, the Steelers will eventually be headed in the right direction.